The Nike Metcon 10 versus the Under Armour TriBase Rain 6. Now, both of these shoes are pretty starkly different regarding their fit and feel on the feet, and they each have pretty cult-like followings. But if you're on the fence going back and forth between Nike and Under Armour, what should you know? So 4 major differences to note between these shoes include number one, their overall feel on the foot with their midsoles. Now over here in the TriBase Rain 6, you have a drop-in midsole. Now what does this mean? This means that the midsole that you get in this shoe, unlike the traditional foam layer with the separate rubber outsole layer that you get in trainers like the Nike Metcon 10, is built into the insole. So this insole right here is gonna serve as your midsole. This drop-in midsole runs a little bit softer regarding its feel. So as you're training, as you're lifting a little bit heavier, you will notice this a little bit more in the Rain 6. And then over here in the Metcon 10, you have the React Foam midsole. This midsole is gonna run a little bit denser compared to the drop-in midsole in the Rain 6. It's a little bit softer up here in the forefoot and a bit denser back here in the heel. You also have a TPU plate under the heel as well, which is gonna give the Metcon 10 a little bit more stability. It's gonna feel a little bit more stiffer and stable on the ground when you're training, when you're jumping, and when you're lifting. The second major difference to note is their upper constructions. So in the Nike Metcon 10, you have a slightly lower profile upper. It almost reminds me of the older Metcon models if you've ever worn them, or some of the older training shoes from Nike that have that very much like cleat-like, sock-like fit. The mesh upper in this shoe sits pretty low, hugs pretty low as well, and then the boot back here is also pretty low. Over here in the Under Armour TriBase Rain 6, I would say you have like a moderate volume with the upper construction. It's not so low, but it's also not super high. So it's a little bit higher than the Nike Metcon 10 regarding just giving you a little bit more wiggle room, especially here at the base of the forefoot. The next major difference to note is their outsole constructions. So over here in the Metcon 10, you have a full rubber outsole, some breaks here in the midfoot, which does help a little bit contribute to the flexibility of the midfoot, and then you have a cutout here where you can see that TPU plate. When it comes to the overall grip of the Nike Metcon 10, the grip has been really stellar in this shoe for a lot of different surfaces. And then also something to note with the outsole in the shoe is it does wrap up on the lateral medial midfoot. This is gonna give you a little bit more arch support in the Metcon 10, and it's also gonna give you a little bit more bite for rope climbs. Over here in the Rain 6, you also have a full rubber outsole, and the grooves are pretty dang aggressive. So as you can see, you get a lot of bite with these on different surfaces. A lot of folks tend to love the grip of the Rain 6. The fourth major difference to note between these shoes is their heel to toe drops and how that's gonna translate to your training. The drop in the Rain 6 sits at 2 millimeters. This is going to give you a flatter foot position. Now, as a bonus here, you can take out the drop-in midsole in this shoe and put in a different insole from a different training shoe, and it's going to give you a wicked low to the ground feel and give you even more upper volume. In the Nike Metcon 10, you have a drop of around 4 millimeters. This is standard for all of the Metcon models to date. If you like a bit more heel for squatting and your thrusters and your wall balls, etc., the Nike Metcon 10 can be a really good option for that context.